Yes, sir. NBA Hoops Hour is back once again. I am True, of course. I got my man Jeff Axel in the building. I got Lee Harvey, and we got my guy Eric, who has not been on the Hoop Panel, Hoop Hour this much. Shout out to Hoop Panel, Jeff X. Has not been on a Hoop Hour this season so far, and I don't blame him for several reasons. But we have a lot to talk about. First things first. If you've been watching what's happened in the NBA in the last 24, 48 hours, LUKA is no longer a Maverick. Anthony Davis, no longer a Laker. I'll start with Eric. Eric, you said you had something you wanted to get off your chest. So let's start with you.
I'm gonna just go. This is gonna be. I'm gonna just pop this off and then hand it off to you guys. You guys have a great show. Do a great job like you always do. I got other stuff going on. I ain't got that much time. But I had to bring in. Now, it's an interesting perspective because I am not, a hoops guy the way that you guys are. But I am a man of the world. And there are some things to me that I feel like are not, some perspectives that are not, I'm just going to bring to this as a person who is not fully immersed in the hoops world. At first, I had a similar thoughts to a lot of people you're seeing is what the fuck only Anthony Davis does that, and you guys can go ahead. You guys know more than me. You'll be able to break down the details of what they received in return. What they received in return isn't so much what I'm talking about here. It's more their need to move on. And now I wasn't really tracking on this until True brought up, and then I started seeing it about the Supermax deal. True said they didn't want to pay him the Supermax deal, and then I started seeing it being brought up around, different graphics and things like that. This cost him the ability to get a Supermax deal, is because you can only do a Supermax with a team who drafted you, etc. Because they want stars to stay where they're at. And then that's when it dawned upon me that we need a little bit of perspective brought to this. The fact that we have heard and can visually see at this point about this dude, his weight, his dedication, his conditioning, how his poor work habits. I just want to put into perspective for everybody that he knew he was coming up on a Supermax, was asked to lose weight, was asked to put effort into it, and he so fervently, so passionately does not give a fuck about this that he couldn't even fake giving a fuck for 8 fucking months. If you offered me $10,000, I'd be in the fucking sauna in a sweatsuit tonight. I would get off this podcast and go start losing fucking weight. If all I had to do was lose 30 pounds and keep it off for a basketball season. For $10,000, this was hundreds of millions of dollars on the line. And they have told him, all of us here, strong mothers, what happens when a strong mother says, I already told you twice. You get your fucking ass whooped on the next one, right? They've already told this guy multiple times about being in shape, about losing weight. That's what's fucking crazy to me. Nobody is expecting him to look like Nick Bosa. No one's expecting him to look like Buddy Murphy. Nobody's expecting him to look like Steve Gibkey. Nobody's expecting him to look like Roy Johnson. Just don't be a fat fuck. And he can't even do that. They have chefs. He doesn't even have to do the work. A chef will come up with a plan for you and make your meals for you. They have the best nutritionists, the best chefs, the best physical trainers to come up with workouts for you that work with your schedule. And you can't even pretend to give a fuck for 8 months with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line. That is generational laziness, generational softness. You have nothing going on behind your breastplate. You have nothing behind your sternum. If you cannot even fucking fake having a work ethic for 8 months for hundreds of millions of dollars. God damn it, man. I can't fucking believe it. So that's why. And these guys know more about it than we do. They've been behind the scenes. They've seen how this dude fucking lives. We're about to find out just how serious it was. Because, brother, if you think shit was popping in Dallas, you're about to be a multimillionaire in Los Angeles, California. So let me tell you a place where you can find whatever bad habit that you want if you're fucking rich. Motherfucker's about to be out there 300 pounds coked out.
Oh, wow.
Technically, coke is supposed to not.
I know, right? You would think so. Maybe that'll counteract. Maybe that'll help. Then he'll have a whole new set of fucking problems. People say, oh, this cost him a Supermax deal. He cost himself a fucking Supermax deal.
Yeah.
Because you could not even fake having a fucking work ethic for 8 fucking months after they already told you what was going to happen. I'm going to leave it to you, fine gentlemen, to discuss what they got back in return. I don't, obviously there's the compare. Well, I think a part of that, if I may put a little bit of analytics on this, and not just from a coach or a mentor fucking perspective, every word on the street is that nobody knew about this. This was a straight up hit job, like sneaking up behind Luka in the back and fucking hooking him up like in the Goodfellas, when they walked in and the plastic was on the floor, fucking deal with Joe Pesci. So it's like they didn't, because the more teams they call, like it's going to get out and then shit's going to start getting weird. So I think that's what happened there. They called the Lakers. This is what they're thinking. The Lakers probably dropped the fucking phone and said, "You're fucking kidding me," and then took it. And then there we go. I feel like that was. I feel like that was what was behind that. So when you talk about value they got in return, I think that played into it. But still, that one graphic that came up was very telling. Like what Brooklyn was able to get back for Kevin Durant. It's tough for me because, like, I understand they're worried about the future. They're worried about how they've told this guy a bunch of times and he couldn't even pretend to have a work ethic, even with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line. Do we want to? Because everybody says, "Oh, you deal with that down the line." You deal with that down the line when he's not. That's easy to say when you're not the motherfucker on the hook for $380 million a year. They didn't want to be, as so many teams out there are, a team who pays somebody $60 million fucking dollars a year to only play half the games forever for the next 5, 6, 7, whatever the fuck years. They didn't want to be that. So many teams are.
There you
go.
Something here, and I'll get to that, but the whole thing about the return, I think it's actually very stupid of people to say and complain about the return.
You guys break that down tit for tat. You guys have a great show. Thanks for letting me jump in here and fucking say what's what needed to be said. Because because like I said, I feel like if this had been a different type of player or a different caliber of player, maybe a different shade skin of a player, we would have been hearing a lot about work ethic and character and all this, that, and the other in this sort of a fucking lopsided trade. There would have been hit pieces fucking flowing right now.
Zion Williamson,
if it was a black player.
Zion Williamson is on the trade block, or possibly on the trade block, and he's been rumored to be on the trade block every single year because he's fat. I mean, let's talk about it. He like cornbread, a lot of gumbo in New Orleans. I mean, shit. I would do this. Did you leave me in New Orleans? Thing? I'm eating all that shit. I'm eating etouffee, catfish, crawfish, all that shit. I'm eating all of it. But I think that's the problem is that the idea of Luka to me is even better than what Luka gives you on the floor because there's a whole other side of the ball that Luka does nothing on. And I think people forget that because if you watch, and I hate to use this because people like Brian Windhorst used it and a couple of people use it. His defensive performance against Axis Celtics was probably the most diabolical defensive performance I've seen from a superstar ever. The attempts to flop, draw fouls. I mean, that when he filed out with that Jaylen Brown shit, and you better fucking challenge it. Like, bruh, who are you to make that kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's the audacity and the arrogance, I think, that Luka has, where the Mavs probably did get tired of it. Once again, as a player, a great player, MVP level player, you're supposed to have that because I'm player first, so I understand the arrogance. You kept this franchise afloat. A lot of first round exits and in you know what I'm saying, and one Western Conference Finals appearance, and then you finally made it to the finals. Even though I felt like that was kind of a fluke personally, but I still think, like I said, you got a finals appearance. So did Jimmy Butler, right? So did Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler
got
has
two.
got two, and multiple conference finals appearances. Where so you could dare argue that Jimmy Butler was more successful in his run with the Miami Heat than Luka's been with the Mavericks, and here he is, still can't get paid. Obviously, Jimmy Butler's a lot older. Obviously, he's a lot older than him, but I think that's where everybody is confused at, is the age part. Luka is like about to be 26, but if you look at him on the court, nigga move like you're 35. So I feel like when you look at that, there's a lot of elements to this where I agree with the Mavericks if they feel like they can't win a championship or multiple championships with Luka, because I don't feel like they could. I don't feel like they have the personnel to win multiple championships with him. I don't necessarily think this deal that they made gives them that either. But if you're not going to win, and you're not going to win, your best bet is let's try to get better on the other end defensively, and still bring in somebody who can give you 25 and 10 a night, which is what you're not getting the same playmaking, shot creation that you had with Luka, but you're getting much better defense. You're getting the defensive anchor of a team basically, and in my opinion, the best player on the team that you just traded. You basically did a best player on this team, traded for the best player on that team, and it just so happens that you could argue Luka is a much stronger and more skilled offensive player, and there's no argument that Anthony Davis is a much better defensive player. So it all just boils down to what you think is more important for your team. I have no faith in a Kyrie and Anthony Davis led team going anywhere, but I didn't have any faith in a Luka and a Kyrie team going back to the finals or doing too much. Although the Dallas Mavericks have had the Oklahoma City Thunder's number so far, but they're still missing Chet Holmgren. They can still make some trades. They still got a couple more days before the deadline. So if OKC can maybe get a trade going and get Chet back and keep their momentum going, I think they can beat Dallas. I damn sure think they can beat the Lakers at this point, because who is guarding who on the Lakers? Who's your defensive anchor on the Lakers right now? Who do you have? You damn sure ain't expecting Luka to guard. LeBron is like 57 years old right now. What can you do on the defensive end? So I think for the future, because LeBron is obviously retiring like a year or so, like a year or two. Like he's not going to be around that much longer. So I think LeBron retiring, you have Luka, but Luka didn't even. If you saw the video of Luka arriving in LA, that man looked like he'd been shedding tears. He'd been crying. He just not happy. He looked sad. He got Carl Thomas face in the I Wish video. Like I don't feel bad for Luka, because it's like, nigga, you worth about $300 million. I don't give a fuck about your tears. Nigga, I don't care. Like, you rich. But it was a backdoor situation, it felt like. And I think it's because Luka felt like he had the same love and same respect that Dirk had in Dallas. And if Mark Cuban was still the owner, that probably wouldn't have happened. But I think ownership just feels like, hey, look, we're going to suck anyway. We probably not going to have a chance to win anyway. This dude is going to cost us a lot of money to not improve his game, not play defense, or not improve his defensive game. And the calf injury is something that you want to monitor for someone who is out of shape. That's something you want to monitor, because the amount of weight he's putting on his his calf, his ankle, one wrong step on those step backs for the move, and I mean, it didn't look like he didn't get his foot stepped on or did anything. It was just non-contact calf strain, and we've seen multiple times in the NBA where people who have calf injuries can end up with Achilles injuries. I'm not wishing that on him at all, but we've seen that be like a precursor to that. And if he's going to be asked to defend, that you are putting him in a very tough spot for his conditioning. And I heard people say he got better defensively. Maybe to an extent, he got like 10% better. But this season, I didn't really see much of a difference. And he's only played like 22 games. And we're coming up on a 50-game mark. And he might be back in like a couple games. But I would take it really easy with this injury. And if I'm the Lakers, this is not about this season anymore because you lost your defensive anchor. And, they can go out there and win games without Anthony Davis, but you rely on way too much from LeBron and way too much from Luka without the actual defensive ability. So I don't hate the deal on either side. I guess both sides get what they want. I just think the Dallas Mavericks, the only thing that makes people talk about what Brooklyn got and what Phoenix got and what Minnesota got and what these teams got is because there was no player to player exchange that was like in the same realm. You made a all-star, all NBA trade for another all-star, all NBA player. Granted, Luka's better than Anthony Davis, but once again, Dallas could have got like another pick or two, maybe another player. That would have been, I think, about fair if they did the Dalton Connect with another pick. That would have been about fair, and I don't think people would have complained about that in particular. But either way, I just think sports fandom allows you to get too wrapped up in players and loyalty when this is a business. And at the end of the day, the Dallas Mavericks made a business decision that they thought was best for them. And whether or not we all agree, I mean, it ain't going to change shit now. So, I mean, there's nothing really to say about it. Like I said, I think Luka did a great job helping to build Dallas and kind of keep the ship going. But at the same time, they had to get rid of Porzingis because he wasn't a good fit next to Luka. They got rid of Jalen Brunson because they didn't think he was going to be, or let Jalen Brunson walk because they didn't feel like he was going to be worth it or the perfect fit next to Luka. And it just feels like they gave Luka a couple co-stars who could have been very good for him, and we see that they ended up elsewhere, and they didn't really get too much out of anything when they got let those guys walk. So Dallas has a solid team right now. They have some solid defenders. They got a couple dogs on the team. They got a elite shot creator and elite shooter and Kyrie, elite defensive player Anthony Davis, elite big man in Anthony Davis, something they haven't had. So I guess you'll see how it goes. I don't think either team is coming out the West. So, regardless of whatever, I think the trade is what it is, but I just don't think it sets up the Lakers for the future if Luka stays, which is no guarantee. So that's my take on it. Lee, what do you think about this trade? Like what's your thoughts on the Luka and AD trade?
Like everybody else was stunned beyond belief. This trade will look good if AD and Kyrie were like 27, 28 years old. Now with this trade, you want to win. Nico Harrison wants to win now, and I'm not sure if that can happen because, well, last time we seen Kyrie in the playoffs, it was like he didn't have any like big games. Now, is he the number one option now? I know you brought in AD, but I know he's the number one ball handler, but is he that good? Are you relying on him to be that guy offensively? And as far as the Lakers go, I see why they made that move because LeBron is 40, Luka's about to be 26, and with all the Luka stuff behind the scenes that's now getting brought out into the forefront with his maturity and not being able to lose weight. Now they want LeBron to mentor him. So by the time he retires, Luka can be the face. And if that's why the Lakers made that trade, I understand it.
Well, X, what's your thoughts, brother?
I'm not going for this. Y'all let Nico Harrison slide. This is a terrible fucking trade. Awful. Like, I understand Luka got his
he's an idiot.
efficiencies, but Luka averaged 34, 10, and 9 last year. Was averaging 28, 8, and 8. I guess they wanted to do the cost cutting, saving money. Like, hey, we don't want to pay $70 million per year for him, but gets to the playoffs every year for the most part. Just came off a finals run. At least let him do a full year after the finals before you make an idiotic trade like this. AD, he's a second option. Kyrie's a second option. I don't know how far 2 second options could really lead you. This is a terrible fucking trade. I'm sorry. Like, Lakers fleece these motherfuckers. I hate how the Lakers don't have to give up a whole lot. Yeah, AD's an all-NBA player. He's all defense. But you're going to have to get more picks. If you was to put him on the market, they could have got a better deal than that shit. They ain't going to trade him, like, in the Western Conference to the fucking Lakers. Lakers always got to get, like, stars without having to give up as much. So fuck out of here. Like, terrible fucking trade. Nico's going to get fired. He said himself, I might not be here 10 years from now. He trying to joke with Jason Kidd. Jason Kidd's about to have some flashbacks. He choked that man with 2 hands and shit. Like, he looked dead inside when you looked at him. Nobody signed off on the deal. Mark Cuban even said he was surprised. Like, the announcer sounded like he just announced the fucking bombing and shit before the Cavs game. Like, this is a horrible fucking deal. I kind of feel bad for Mavericks fans because after Dirk, they was in the hole for a couple years, and Luka like brought some fresh energy to the team, man. He had a lot of big performances. He's a playoff riser. Like, I don't like this move at all for Dallas. I think it was terrible. AD, unfortunately, is going to get a lot of unfair slander. Like, no matter what he does, he's not going to get embraced by Dallas. It's unfortunate, but I ain't going for the whole Nico Harrison. This was one of the worst moves ever. I'm sorry. I can't go for it. Yeah, he might have been out of shape, whatever. Conditioning might have been an issue, but, like, you don't give up on that at 25 years old. He hasn't even reached his prime yet. 5-time All-NBA first-team player, like, fuck no. So I strongly disagree with, like, this being a bad move for the Lakers. I hate to say it. I don't want to give them any fucking credit, but they fleeced the fuck out of the Mavericks, man.
Spoken like a true Celtics fan.
Yeah, like, you don't give up when nobody is 25. Like, at least if you feel this way, let the year after the finals play out. Like, see how the end of this year goes. He's getting ready to come back this week. Like, see how things go. Make a couple tweaks. You don't fucking give him up for AD. It was a stupid fucking move to me. I'm sorry. AD ready to be 32 this year. Like, you got like a 2-3 year window. So you went from a 10-year window to like a 2 or 3 year window.
Yeah.
Like, hell no. Like, I guess the owners, the one theory that I'm hearing from like Dallas people, they were saying that the owners are like big in the gambling game. They trying to get casinos down in Texas, and
they're not going to
they
win.
want to like tank the value of the team and have them potentially move to Vegas.
Oh wow.
That's just one theory I'm hearing, because clearly these owners ain't fucking basketball fans.
That's not a theory. That's not a theory.
That's a fact.
That is a fact. That is, Vegas is very strongly right now working on trying to get a basketball team there. The NBA is working on facilitating that. The issue is, I thought it was going to be a different team, and if I told you who I thought the team was going to be, you'd probably think I'm crazy. But I thought the team was going to be the Washington Wizards. Actually,
what?
I actually thought that was a team, and here's why I say that. Washington's not a major market, right, in the NBA. Considered a very small market. The team is dog shit, has no value. So
Right.
my belief was that they were going to take this. They're getting rid of their players. DC does not turn out for games like they used to. The ticket sales are terrible in DC now. I mean, I haven't been in DC in like 3 months now, but when I was, nearby, I saw a lot of those games and empty seats, and I think that is part of it. So I was expecting one of the bottom teams in the league to kind of the perennial bottom team. And I don't think there's any team that's been perennially at the bottom quite like the Wizards. And that was my thought that they were going to do and use them kind of as a starting point. But
Wow.
the Mavericks will willingly take the fall. I still don't agree with everybody who's saying it's like the worst trade ever. I think it's a bad trade because you didn't get a little more for Luka. I don't think trading for Anthony Davis was a bad thing if you got like one or two other pieces or like another younger player to go with him. Because I've said for a long time, I don't hold Luka in the same regard. I said it on the show. I don't hold Luka in the same regard as everybody else. So I think he's a top 5 player, sure, from an offensive standpoint. But I think he's one of the worst defensive stars I've ever witnessed in my life. And I think it's a problem with this era where you got these guards, these players who can they exert so much energy in the offensive end. They don't have any energy for the defensive end. I just think it's such a cop out. It's just corny. And like I said, I think Luka's great. I think he is going to be great in LA. I just don't see LA being a contending team like that. I don't see him having them be a contending team. I think there's some collusion going on in between Dallas and LA for several reasons. Not because they traded Anthony Davis, because once again, you're trading somebody who could be a defensive player of the year candidate, who averages 26 and 12, is the healthiest these last 2 seasons that he's been in this entire Lakers run. So we talk about conditioning, and people are like, oh, AD made a glass. But conditioning wise, AD has stepped his game up the last 2 seasons. And I don't know what that's in part, what that's about. But we remember people saying the Lakers had concerns about Anthony Davis when he kept getting injured those couple of years. And so that was the thing. Anthony Davis took the initiative. I see the logic from that end on Dallas's, but you don't have a number 1 option. That's where Dallas loses me. But my question to people, and I wrote this in the article, who are you going to get that would have been an equal get for Luka? Because they're looking at like, we need a player who can at least contribute and help. Anthony Davis will do that for any team he would have been traded to. So that makes sense. But Dallas, the only deal where it would have made sense if like a Giannis or a Jokic or SGA or somebody like that was available, that's a 1-for-1 type of deal, honestly. And you may throw on a pick or two. Anthony Davis was, to me, we'll give you AD and we'll send like 2 or 3 picks, like 3 picks, and maybe Dalton Connect, or, I don't know how the money would work, but like an Austin Reed, I don't know what that, I don't know what the money was to make it work. But I thought the Lakers, I won't say fleeced completely. I think the Lakers got off easy without giving up the rest of their draft picks, so they still have a little bit of flexibility to make another move. That's what I don't like the move, because I don't want anything good to happen for the Lakers. I don't really think I don't like Luka and LeBron together is not moving me at all. Their play styles are very, very not conducive to each other, but I'm sure they'll make it work. LeBron has played a little bit more off ball.
He's letting Austin Reeves cook this year, so playing off ball ain't gonna be an issue. Luka ain't gonna play off ball. They do need one, like they definitely need a big man. I've been seeing Miles Turner's name floated around, Nick Claxton, Rob Williams III. So it's gonna be like one of those 3. I would
Mitchell Robinson is thrown out there too.
You want to talk about somebody who can't stay healthy? Mitchell Robinson would be the worst option. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Rob Williams is talented, but also got the same issues. So I think that's the problem, is that all these options that they have available for big men, we can't fully trust them to stay healthy. And then the problem is without AD on the Lakers now, it might be a little extra strain on LeBron to kind of step up and kind of, you know what I'm saying, put a little more on his shoulders. And at 40 years old, I keep saying LeBron gonna retire real soon because he done everything he needed to do. He played with his son. He don't really, you know what I'm saying? And I think Luka is the passing the torch to Luka. They have a similar style on how they play. Obviously, Braun is a lot faster, a lot stronger, in tip-top shape compared to Luka. I don't expect Braun to really make Luka get in tip-top shape though. And I think that if that's the expectation of the Lakers, I think they're sadly mistaken, and I think it's actually pretty dumb of them to be like, "Oh, LeBron will get it done." I don't think that's like LeBron don't care about niggas like. I think people need to realize LeBron does not care. This man is in year 22 going to year 23. He does not care that much to me. So I could very well see LeBron kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll help him out. And not really, you know, and Luka, who's to say if Luka's been this way his entire career, who's to say he's going to change now? He's 7-8 years in the league. He obviously don't feel like he need to change anything. He can still go out there and cook. He can go out there and drop 38 and 8 when he's on the Lakers, and they're gonna give up like 130 points on the other end too, and that's fine. You know what I'm saying? Like they got a lot of white players over there now on the Lakers, so I'm not really a fan. I'm not, you know. I'm sure LA's happy. I'm sure them rich folks in LA happy to see all them goddamn.
They was saying Indiana wanted Austin Reeves, so I don't know if you. For Miles Turner, I'm not sure, but they say they're willing to give up another piece. So if it was like Miles Turner and Benedict Mathurin, I'm like, ooh, that changed some shit. I like Mathurin. He's kind of underrated.
If you trade Miles Turner and Benedict Mathurin for Austin Reeves, that is a fleece. That's a fleece. Because Austin Reeves is cool. Giving up 2 rotation players for that, like 2 people who can start on my team for Austin fucking Reeves, nigga? Hell no. Hell no.
I mean, that's what I've been saying.
Hey man, they let that happen. I'm beating the shit out of Rob Pelinka and I catch a nigga in the street. Fuck this shit. I'm tired of this shit. Like the Lakers, nah, man. Lakers need to die. They need to go. I'm sick of this shit. Like I'm sick of this shit. Like, goddamn. Like first you didn't had Magic, fucking Kareem. You had Wilt at one point. You had Shaq, Kobe. You got fucking LeBron, AD. Now you got Luka. Like, goddamn. Like, you know, like, stop. That's like, and fuck Nico. Like, Nico is a bitch.
He's an idiot. Like I think his trade was fucking horrible. I'm not giving him no pass, bro. Like,
my pass ain't for him. My pass is the fact that I actually think AD actually fits the Dallas team perfectly. It's just that they need a number one. They just need a number. Like, I just don't understand that part. Like, they need a number one. I don't think Kyrie is your number one.
No.
But I guess Kyrie can take over games. AD has put up 40 and fucking 20 if he needs to. It's just they're not the alpha dog in anywhere. But maybe, you know, maybe that works, I guess. I mean, if you look at in Memphis, who's the alpha dog really in Memphis this year?
That's Jackson's team this year, bro.
Yeah,
it is Triple J.
You know what I'm saying? So
he don't get his credit. I don't like it.
He doesn't. He don't. He's. I think if Memphis had an MVP candidate listed, it would have to be Jaren Jackson because Ja has not looked very well this season. He's just look a little stanky at times. But once again, I thought Ja was number one option there, and Ja looked like a facilitator number 2 guy. So it's interesting. You know, maybe AD can find some of that. You know, some of that umph and be the veteran for the team and put him on the back and yeah, I mean when AD was number one option in New Orleans, they did make the playoffs a couple times and
2 times
they
in 7 years.
You know,
like,
they
a
a couple times.
That New Orleans shit, man. Like it.
Hey, look, I can't front on AD's talent when he was in New Orleans. That was his prime.
Was nice, but just like it's for they put him in conversations he don't belong in sometimes.
But
man.
I feel like he need a little more respect because he was playing with some trash ass teammates in New Orleans, boy. They gave that nigga like Ryan Anderson and fucking like washed Eric Gordon, and they was giving him just terrible. He had Drew Holiday. Now I guess that was cool, but Drew was like the second option. I don't feel like you winning shit with Drew as your actual second option. So,
and how long was he paired up with Boogie Cousins? Like a month?
20 games, like 10 games, 15 games, and they was looking good though. They was looking good together. So I don't know. Maybe AD wanted to play the 4. He does play really good basketball at the 4. He seems more comfortable at the 4. He can facilitate a lot better at the 4. We'll see. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know how Jason Kidd feels about it. We'll see. Jason Kidd is a point guards coach to me, and so having a big man, a versatile big man who can get you 26 and 12 every single night, I would like to see how that plays out. But once again, while I don't think it was like a terrible trade, I think it's a bad trade for the future for the Mavericks. I think it's a good trade for the future of the Lakers. But in the immediate, I don't see the Lakers doing anything these next couple years. And I think LeBron is out of there probably next year. Anyway, I mean, he keeps saying he's getting close to retirement. Next year, it's his 23rd season. He is been number 23 most of his career. It just makes sense for LeBron to announce it, go on his retirement tour, and go take his ass home away from the game. And I guess another player who needs to take his ass away from the game, if his team does not make a trade in the next few days, is Steph Curry, who's about to play as we record this, because the Warriors aren't doing jack shit. They are making offers for people who are not even on the fucking trade block. Why are you calling about LeBron, KD, Giannis, and all You're not getting. They don't want Buddy Hield's contract. They don't want Moses Moody, nigga. They don't want Andrew Wiggins, nigga. They don't want that. The Warriors need to go ahead, get Cam Johnson and Vooch, and call it a day. That would improve their team a lot. It might not help them win the championship, but they should win a lot more games if you got Cam Johnson and Vooch on your team, because that gives you 2 scorers, 2 people who can shoot it from 3, and that's exactly what you need. You need some spacing so people can guard other motherfuckers on the floor besides just Steph at half court. But once again, Joe Lacob, like Nico, is a bitch. So we might not see him make any trade or sign off on anything. We'll see how it goes. I think Tuesday or Wednesday is when Dennis Schroeder's contract can be traded. That's what I think they've been waiting for anyway. So maybe tomorrow we'll start to hear about their potential deals ramping up, especially after tonight's game. We'll see how that goes. Draymond Green is back. The Warriors need to make a trade. Other teams that didn't make a trade yet is the Miami Heat. Have not completed the Jimmy Butler trade yet. Don't know if they will, but the Sacramento Kings made a trade. They made a trade.
I like it, yo. Like
I don't like it. I don't like it for Sacramento outside of the picks. We've seen Lavine and DeRozan together. That does not work. Them niggas do not work.
Nah, I think DeRozan's gonna get rerouted somewhere probably. But like to get Lavine and multiple picks, and for the Spurs, kudos to them for holding on to that Hawks pick. And
the Spurs won that trade. The Spurs won the fuck out of that trade. Like,
oh yeah,
absolutely. They got an all-star in De'Aaron Fox. They kept Castle. They didn't get rid of Vassell. They didn't get rid of really anybody. That really fucking
bench players, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, like they didn't get rid of anybody. And for the Kings, like I said, the Kings, Malik Monk, the starting point guard. Yeah. You know,
he's been playing well this year, though. Like credit to him, he's been playing.
He's been playing great. I just don't feel like he's your starting point guard if you want to go far. They're sitting like what are they?
They're 10th seed. Lavine went from 10th seed to another.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I don't expect the Kings to make a run at all. Not in this Western Conference. So
they said they want to make another move, man. They talking about Cam Johnson trying to make a move for him. I'm seeing Memphis is trying to get him. A couple other teams. Now, Memphis, it makes sense.
Memphis should. I thought Memphis and OKC were the 2 teams. If you're in the Cam Johnson sweepstakes, you have enough to win games because you already have done that. If you add a Cam Johnson, he could be that person that takes you over the top. So I could see Memphis going to get him. Like I said, I thought OKC was going to get him because they got nothing but a whole bunch of fucking picks anyway.
And Sam Presti's just sitting on them.
He's sitting on them. You can send a nigga like eight picks and you still got like 25 left. So you could like they can do that. I don't know why Presti hasn't made that move yet, and I don't know if Brooklyn is holding Cam Johnson for like a particular reason because I thought he would have been traded by now. So I don't really know what that's about. But De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs.
Oh, what you gonna say, my bad?
No, I was gonna say De'Aaron Fox to the Spurs, real quick. We are last main topic.
Mhm.
How y'all feel about De'Aaron Fox on the Spurs?
You go ahead, Max.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like it, man. Like I like the fact that he's a closer for the Spurs because they be in games, but a lot of times they don't really have anybody to close. Him and Wemby in the pick and roll is gonna be potent. Gives him another shot creator. He plays with pace, so I think him and he's gonna unlock Vassell, and I think he's gonna be his assists are gonna be up, passing it to Wemby, where Wemby doesn't have to play on the perimeter as much. And I think it's gonna be good. And then he can pick Chris Paul's brain too. I know he has his flaws. Chris Paul's basketball IQ's through the roof, so he'll be good as far as like veteran mentorship with De'Aaron. He could probably like unlock some extra things with De'Aaron. And I think it was a great move for the Spurs. They might get out of the play-in spot. I think they're 11th right now, but I think it's to get them to the top 6, 7 around there. I think it's a positive move in all honesty. The fact that they was able to keep their core real impressive. Now, when the offseason comes, they're going to need another piece. They're missing one piece. I don't know if they should like swing a trade for BI or something like that, but it's like one more thing they're missing.
What about you, Lee?
To add to Axe's point, I think if they could add Ingram, that would be the missing piece. But I like this trade for the Spurs too. If Wemby could just if he could be like 3 of 7 from 3 or like 4 of 8 from 3 every other night instead of like 3 for 11, that would make a difference because Fox, he's more of a mid-range shooter. He more of a slasher than a 3-point shooter. That would open up the spacing, and it will help. This move also helps Castle, so Castle doesn't have to feel like he has to be the point guard once Chris retires. Now you have Fox who can just play that position, and Castle can learn from both of them. In Sacramento's case, like what you already said, True. We've already seen that DeRozan Lavine experiment, and Malik Monk as a point guard, I've never seen that before. He's always been a 2. It's one thing if you can get 9, 12 assists when no one's seen it coming, but now you're the point guard every night. I don't know how that's going to work for Sacramento.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not ecstatic about the player side of this trade for Sacramento, but the picks, they got a lot of picks, and that's what they need because it's clear that the Kings are going to have to rebuild at some point. I don't know if they're going to rebuild around Lavine or what, or the Sabonis Lavine duo, what that's going to be about, but it's an interesting time right now in the NBA. The trade deadline is 100% the focus, I think, for every team right now, for everybody. We're just trying to take it day by day and find out what's next, what's going to happen.
Nobody's safe.
Nobody's safe. your star players. I think the only person that might be safe at this moment is somebody like a Jokic or SGA or Giannis. Everybody else is pretty much up for grabs. So we'll see how it goes. Not we just did a hoops hour like a couple days ago. No change on the Jimmy Butler front, like I mentioned. Not really much to watch out for in terms of like big players. I think the storm has passed in terms of that in that sense. So we'll see how it goes for the rest of we got like 3 days left before the trade deadline passes. We'll see if the Warriors make a trade. We'll see if the Kings reroute DeRozan somewhere. We'll see if Jimmy Butler actually gets traded to Phoenix. That seems to be where his preferred destination is. But we'll see with this Cam Johnson thing. We'll see really a lot of different things this trade deadline. Not many games to speak of. A lot of players are out. A lot of like injuries. This is All-Star. We're building up to All-Star, so you know how it goes with the NBA during the All-Star. They're gonna start resting some of their stars the last couple games, and all the All-Stars are picked. So a lot of those guys ain't gonna go as hard. But
Celtics Cavs tomorrow though.
That is one big game. Man, we got one.
Rockets and Knicks been all right. Hawks and Pistons tied at 130 right now, so it's some games. It's just
I guess these games don't feel like they matter because of the fact. Well, the Hawks and Pistons, that game really don't matter in general. That's like a middle of the road game. Shout out to Cade
coming up, man. They coming up.
I would say shout out to Cade Cunningham. Shout out to the Pistons. The Hawks, on the other hand, we'll see. We'll see how that goes for the Hawks. Really sucks that Jalen Johnson got injured, and I thought he was having a phenomenal season. Yeah, and these injuries, man, these injuries every season. It feels like it robbed us of some great basketball from a lot of great players. LUKA should be back. I think this weekend is when he's targeting. We'll see if he sticks to that. Yeah, like I said, Draymond Green, not that that's really a noteworthy thing, is returning for the Golden State Warriors, and he's playing again. Don't know if that's a good or bad thing. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I know we were talking the other day, and actually mentioned the Orlando Magic having their struggles. Well, they're facing the best possible team to get over a struggle against as they're playing the Warriors. So we'll see if the Magic can get over their struggles. Anything else we haven't covered that we might that we need to talk about? Any other tidbits? Any news important in the NBA? I feel like we covered a lot last episode. It was like an hour plus, so we covered a lot.
Yeah, last episode did cover a lot. Just expecting some of these teams make minor tweaks. I think Cleveland makes a small trade. Boston should get a little bit more athleticism on their team, in my opinion. OKC's probably gonna make a tweak, and just look out for like some small tweaks. In all honesty, from the top 6 teams. Ever since that Lakers trade, I think everybody wants to like shore up their roster, make sure it's straight.
Yeah,
Trae Young just hit a dagger 3-pointer. Good Lord.
Oh.
I would just speak positive about the Pistons and see what happens. This is what happens. But no, yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what teams trade for what and who they kind of look to get. I think it'll be very interesting to see if a lot of teams offload some of their stars. Like the Pelicans just lost DeJounte Murray for the rest of the season and probably a good amount of next season to an Achilles injury, which has probably drastically changed his career, unfortunately. But get well to DeJounte Murray. But Zion Williamson and both Brandon Ingram are both rumored to be possibly get moved. The Pelicans suck right now, and they are bottom of the barrel. So we will see how things go for that. Some of those bad teams might be looking to offload some of their guys. So we'll see how it goes, man. But we got so much going on in the world of DAR right now. I will be doing my weekly coverage of the Cincinnati Cyclones hockey team here on the Medium site, on our Medium site. You can check that out, as well as this YouTube channel. You can check the YouTube shorts. I'll have that. Shout out to Paulo/Ken Moore. He will be probably doing some NCAA coverage this week as well. You'll see that on the YouTube shorts. Shout out to my guy Chris. My guy Chris Laney. He is doing some NHL hockey coverage down there in Florida on the low though. On the low, gotta keep that on the low. But we'll have some Florida Panthers stuff going as well. Might see some Cincinnati Bearcats action. Was supposed to be at their game this weekend, but they bullshitted me on my credentials. So we'll see how that goes. Could see some other action very soon from the soccer world here in Cincinnati with the FC Cincinnati team. Might be some in a month or two. You might see some Cincinnati Reds content. You might see some Baltimore Orioles content. Washington Nationals content. We just got our hands in everything. Make sure you check out that World of Wrestling episode with myself and Eric. We went in on a lot of topics, a lot of things to talk about. And of course, we have a DAR compilation that we are planning to release sometime in February. We don't know when exactly, but February just started. You can stay tuned to these shows and the Twitter and you'll find that out. But I want to thank Ax, Lee, and of course, Eric for jumping on for a little bit. But we're getting out of here tonight. But stay busy because the world of DAR never stops. I ain't even have to tell you to cut this shit off. He just popped back in the damn dark. Just that.
He was ready.
He was ready. He popped his ass. I was like, how long it's gonna take? And then I see the picture pop up and it's dark as shit. Like I can't even see your face.